Alright kids, we're doing this worksheet, but this is part 2. Again, we looked at, part 1 we looked at algebra tiles, and we said, okay, these little tiles, there's a key to these tiles. It's big squares and x squared. I have 2 of them, so I have 2x squared. These thin rectangles are x's, and I have 5 of them, so 5x. Then we have 3, okay? Down here with adding and subtracting polynomials, we combine like terms. And we talked about how this is 2x squared and that's like a 3x. We can't combine them because they don't share the same exponent. But 2x squared and 5x squared do share the same exponents. So we add the little coefficient, the 2 and 5, and get 7, and keep the x squared the same. You'll do the same with the x. Negative 5x plus negative 3. Negative 5 and negative 3 make negative 8. You keep the x the same, and so forth. Always keep in mind whether the sign is asking you to subtract or add. On the back, we talked about the FOIL method, okay, and that when you're multiplying and you have binomials, you multiply the first terms, then the outer terms, the inner terms, and the last terms, and then you combine like terms. There are special occasions where you just have to apply the distributive property and remember your exponent rules. Now we're going to look at dividing polynomials, which has a little bit to do with factoring. And that's why I'm making part 2 of the video, because that's going to take some time to factor, okay? So our very first step when we factor is we have to determine whether there's a greatest common factor. And we want this to say x squared plus something x plus or minus something, you know. We want it to just be x squared, but there's a 2 there. And so we need to figure out what to do with that. We have 2, 11, and negative 21. Does anything, our greatest common factor, can we divide 21, 11, and 2 by a common number? The answer is no. So what we do in this situation, we're going to write 2x squared plus 11x minus 21. And you take that 2 that's in front of your x squared, and you multiply it by your last item, which is at negative 21. So what you're going to get is x squared plus 11x minus 42. Okay? And now we have to think, what can I multiply together? It's going to get negative 42, but add to get negative 11. Okay? So can I multiply to get negative 42, but add to get negative 11? And you may have to fiddle around and be like, okay, 2 times 21 gives me 42, but there's negative 21 gives me 42, but it doesn't give me 11, and keep playing around until you get 3 and 14, negative 3 and 14. So here we're going to do x minus 3 and x plus 14. Oh, good golly. Okay. Now with that slip and slide method, where's the pen? There it is. With the slip and slide method, you still have to go back to that 2 and divide your factors at the moment by the 2, okay? And then simplify. Since 3 divided by 2 can't be simplified as a fraction, and we don't want it to be a fraction, remember, we're going to take that 2, put it in front of the x. Then x plus 14 divided by 2 is 7. And so we have this all being divided by, keep in mind that 2x minus 3 at the top. We did all that to just factor that out. And lo and behold, these 2 cancel out. So your answer is x plus 7 when you divide that out. There will be a more specific video on factoring if that's still a struggle. Excuse me. So with number 12, we'll do the same thing. 2, we have negative 1 and negative 3. 2, negative 1, and negative 3 don't have a common thing that can be divided by that's not 1. So we're going to do our slip and slide method. You take that 2, multiply it by that negative 3, and your new trinomial for the moment is x squared minus x minus 6. What can we do? Multiply to get negative 6, but add to get negative 1. Well, the answer is 2 and negative 3. 2 times negative 3 gives us negative 6, but 2 plus negative 3 gives us negative 1. So our factors are x minus 2, x minus 3, x plus 2, x minus 3 at the moment. But because we did the whole slip and slide thing, we have to divide it by that original number, which is the 2. Again, there will be a more detailed factoring video. So we have x plus 2 divided by 2 is 1. And then x, but we have to move that 2 in front, okay? 2x minus 3, since that can't be simplified. And all of that is still being divided by that x plus 1. And so in the end, we have things that cancel out. Kabam, kabam. So your answer is 2x minus 3. Alright? Alright kids, that's part 2 of the video. I hope you enjoyed. Now you're going to go on and take a power test that's called Polynomials. We'll just keep it simple. Okay? Polynomials, alright? Hope you do well. And if you have any questions, remember, ask me. Take care. And go be a gift.